Welcome back, everybody. This is episode number 2 of the BBP podcast. We're the Biblical Business Professionals. I am Blake Welling, along with my co-host Takashi, and we are joined with the awesome Ron and Susan Otten. Thank you guys so much for having us at your home where we're shooting. I guess we'll just kind of cut into it. So we'll ask you guys, just tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell the audience a little bit about yourself. Like, what is your experience in business and how God kind of interweaved into all of that for you?
You want to start?
Sure. I had kind of a tough life regarding to God, and when I was about 15, I had to make a choice of keep my friends or get new friends, and I chose to get new friends because my old friends weren't really good people and weren't God following. So we went our own ways, and that was really tough on me for a while. But after about 6 months, I had new friends that were God followers, and that made a big impact in my life. And I met Sue in college, and then that was kind of like the second big impact in my life. And those two formed the foundation for my thought process and how I live life going forward. So that's my quick story.
Yeah, I think I can kind of parallel what you're talking about. I grew up in a Christian home, went to a teeny tiny country church because I grew up on a farm out in Rosemount, dairy farm. So again, led a hard life, but a different kind of hard. Lots of work and stuff like that, which, you know, there's that saying, work smarter, not harder.
Right.
It really didn't work that way on the farm. You just worked harder. You know? Not that we weren't smart, but there was a lot of hard work. And we both had pretty successful careers. I was early on in my career with Apple Computer and spent 15 years there. It was my second job out of college, and it was great. Hugely entrepreneurial, very creative environment, very high in risk taking. You know, you spent $1 million on that project. Well, it didn't work out so well. Do it again and make it better, and don't lose so much money this time. Wow. You know, so that was great. Learned a lot of great lessons. Ryan, why don't you tell them about your big career? Because you did a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah, I don't know how you measure success in a career, but I've flown over 5 million miles. So I used to be on a jet and go to two or three continents every week. So it was like I didn't know where I was as far as time. But
I got to interject there. So we were on frequent flyer programs, right?
Yeah.
And we had, you know, over 1 million miles, and he just kept accumulating them. But he was gone so much, we never wanted to travel when he got back. Oh. So we just had all these miles, and finally the kids got old enough, we started flying with them with their sports and stuff. Yep. So it was great to have some free miles, but that was funny.
Yeah, we gave them away to our family at Christmas too a lot. Yeah. But had a great career. Started off with Case New Holland Ag Construction Equipment and rose through the ranks and was head of tractors worldwide, engineering, product management, and everything. Had a big job. And then I actually had an opportunity to go to a company in Kansas. I was there for a couple of years, and then I got recruited by Caterpillar, and I was one of the heads of the forklift division, and traveled a lot to Asia and South America and different places with that job. I learned a lot in all my jobs, actually. And one thing I want to mention about Caterpillar, why I really mentioned it, is I was on the leadership team of the facility, and there was 2,000 people. And we, a couple of the executives and myself, decided that we wanted to start a small group. And so we met every Tuesday at 6 o'clock in the central conference room of the facility. It's all glass, and everybody could see, you know, what was going on. And we started a bunch of multiple groups like that in CAT because they thought it would be okay to start it because we did it. Mm-hmm. And that's why we were trying to do it. But so we had a lot of small groups in CAT because of the leadership focusing on small groups. Wow. And I think, you know, following that God's plan was really effective with the leadership.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. Absolutely. That's cool. Mm-hmm. Eventually we moved back to Minnesota. Our home state. My parents were getting pretty old and needed a lot of help. And the kids were finally done with high school, so we could move and live where we wanted to. And we wanted to come back here. They were off to college, and both playing their sports that they loved growing up. And so that was great. Son, a hockey player from the house that played hockey at a Minnesota college. So that was a huge check off for him.
State of hockey, Minnesota.
Yay, yes. And then our daughter played 2 D1 sports in college,
Holy moly.
both indoor and sand volleyball. That sand was just becoming a new D1 sport. So she went to the college that she did because she could play both sports there down in central Georgia. In the meantime, we moved to Minnesota, so she was all bummed because we didn't get to see a lot of her games because it was so far to fly down there, and we didn't have our million freaking flyer miles.
I was gonna say, you probably use that then. But.
So when we came back to Minnesota, we kind of thought long and hard about our jobs and our goals and careers when we got back here, because we had both done really well. I led global marketing teams, at a couple of companies. Ron had always been at really big companies in leadership and engineering. And so what do we want to do with that information? And we're a pretty good team, kind of a yin and a yang, because I'm on the creative marketing, sales, communications, branding side, and he's engineering, operations, manufacturing. And so we got jobs when we came back to Minnesota, because you need the money, right? Mm-hmm. But our eye was really toward starting our own business. And that was a huge leap of faith for us. Being in high-level corporate jobs is great. Paychecks are big. There's a lot of perks. Starting your own business is hard.
Yes.
And Blake, you're an entrepreneur, and you're very creative and entrepreneurial. So I think that was really just put it out there to God, and that's kind of what we do with big decisions. I always say it's great God's got a plan because I'm clueless, mm-hmm. and really, who knows better than God to guide you. So with big decisions, we put it out there, and it's just amazing the way God orchestrates things and the way stuff should work. So that worked out well. We were able to start a business. Why don't you talk a little bit about the business and the portfolio and stuff?
We started and bought our first business in 2016, which was at that time called FixFind. And it's a shipper, shipping through Amazon. Yeah. And it's basically an internet company. And that kind of formed the start of our companies. But we've transitioned to what's called Indie Do Good at that company, and Sue leads it now, and we're trying to do good for a lot of people, and maybe you can explain that.
Yeah, I mean, by buying the Amazon reseller, it gave us the warehouse management system, and the company was shut down. We were able to bring back the employees, unlock the doors, pay the rent, that kind of stuff, because it was a failed company. So we knew we didn't really want to be Amazon resellers. What's the good in that? Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of controversy around Amazon, the world's largest consumer products sales channel. But we wanted to do something more than that. So we quickly swiveled the company, and I'm a plate spinner, and a dot connector. So I was like, okay, we're going to spin that Amazon plate, but in the meantime, we're going to stand up a company that can do good. And the way we were doing good are doing good is to support companies that are doing good either by their product or their service, mm-hmm. Or they might have some really strong philanthropic kind of effort. So we have one company, Hippie Feet, just an amazing company. They were employing homeless youth to do because their do-good is homeless. Yeah. And they, and a few weeks before Christmas, a couple of years ago, the founder, Michael Matter, called up and said, it's cold out, the kids aren't getting to work, it's hard for homeless kids to, find a bus line. They got to find a warm place to sleep at night. So we need help. We're going to miss our Christmas orders. And we took them in, got them started, shipped all the orders out. But they swiveled then, instead of employing homeless, they decided, and this is a great lesson for entrepreneurs, followed their heart, did what they do well, did what they like to do, which was designing and producing amazingly creative socks and clothing. And now they give 50% of their profits to homeless organizations.
That's pretty
cool.
That's very impressive.
And he said, we're sock designers and salespeople. We don't know how to manage homeless youth. We did pretty well, but the professionals, the organizations, the nonprofits that support the homeless population do so much better than we. So we can help them help the homeless better than what we could do on our own. So that's one example. And we have story after story after story of our clients that are doing good in that way. Some are, and we support them through shipping because we have that warehouse, so storage and shipping. Yeah. We do marketing, my background. for only our clients. This Minneapolis-St. Paul Metro is a huge, very creative, amazing agency town for marketing services.
Absolutely.
And we don't compete with that, but we'll do it for our own clients, especially the early stagers that don't have a big budget, can't pay the agency fees. So we're going to help them out, get started. And then we leverage Ron's talents and his connections with engineering, because we have great entrepreneurs that we meet through collegiate competitions, early stage entrepreneurs, or through mentoring organizations. Again, Minnesota is an amazing state for supporting businesses at the early stage. So many great programs. So we might meet them through a cohort that we're mentoring for or teaching at. And they might have a crazy idea that's just spot on, solves a problem in the market, but they don't necessarily know how to produce it. I mean, you've heard of napkin math. Well, I call it napkin engineering. And then they could turn that over to Ron and his team and support them by doing real CAD drawings that are ready for manufacturing. And, I am an engineer by marriage, right? So my favorite engineering term is the delightful oxymoron of cost improvement. And that's one thing that professional engineers do so well, is take dollars out of the design at the early stage before you start producing. And then it really helps save cost over time. And saving costs means there's more margin and more profits, so you can do
Absolutely.
good.
One thing, or a couple of things I wanted to touch on. They're off on a tangent a little bit, but I think how you take care of your employees, people you work with, family, and all that's really important. And I picked up the book one time, 101 Ways to Motivate Your Employees. And one of them said in there, send what you're going to send to your employee to their spouse. So the spouse would get the gift at home and open it up, and then the employee would come home and she or he would tell them, they sent me something. It's a family deal, and so we like to involve everybody and reward everybody. Another thing that I think was really important in our life, from a godly standpoint, is how we took care of our kids and how we brought them up and the things we did and didn't do. There was a article in USA Hockey. And if you play Minnesota hockey, you have to be a member and get the magazine. And there was a magazine article in there that said about good parents. What do good parents do? And it said simply, they never give up. And that resonated with me tremendously when our kids got into high school and college. And there was a lot of, testing points that we had, arguments and different things going through life. But I kept that mantra in there, never give up. And I think that drove a lot of success by them. They're both very successful today. You wanted to say a little bit about them?
Well, I think it's great that they're both followers of Christ. They both, that's just great. Our son is older and he's married, in finance, and our daughter's a veterinarian. That right now is going on a 15-hour shift in the ER. So so that's a little bit crazy, but just great kids, love giving back. Our son coaches hockey now, still plays adult hockey and stuff. You can't live in Minnesota and be a hockey player and not play. So, he keeps that up.
One of those inescapable things about Minnesota sports.
And then it's just great to see him, though. I almost think he's, well, not almost. I do think he's probably even a better coach than he was a player. And to be able to play at the collegiate level in the state of hockey, Minnesota, you can't be chump change. And but he's just an amazing coach and continues to kind of rise through the ranks of coaching in Minnesota, which is, again, pretty cool. And to give back in that way, because it's a lot of time and effort, and it's not really great pay. You don't get rich being a coach. You do it because you love the kids and you love the sport.
I like that. Your story really talks about focus is just giving, and how do you give the most? And all of a sudden you think about this business idea, and that's essentially how you can give the most to further God's kingdom. And that's really inspiring.
Because I think that I'm sorry.
That's kind of what we try to do, is give back to the community, and there's multiple ways we do that. It's through our neighborhood and what we do and how we change things on the point. It's go to church and help people come to God. We teach Sunday school. So we just do a lot of things.
Go kids!
that are focused on family and kids and helping other people to be successful.
Yeah. Yep. I'm not wearing this for the purpose of the video. I have to go and run the bouncy house as soon as we're done here. So I figured I'd get dressed in the appropriate attire and go. But I mean, it's that kind of thing. And again, you know, do I have an hour and a half or wait, this involves math, 2 hours to, and then plus the drive time to go and run the bouncy house. But yes, I do. You know, okay, the lawn needs mowing really, really bad, but the kids need a bouncy house worse than the lawn needs to be mowed. And there needs to be community and, you know, supporting the community and supporting our church's efforts there, you know. And like Ron said, we teach Sunday school, and, you know, every week we get up a little early, go to the first service to teach Sunday school, stay for the second service, you know, and, you know, it's a big chunk of time on your weekend. And I mean, we're busy people, but what else can you do that could be better than that, you know? Absolutely. And so that makes it a lot of fun, and it's a way for us to get filled up too. I mean, it's a lot of work being an entrepreneur. And, you know, back to that, we could work really hard in corporate jobs and make big salaries and, you know, probably write a check for, you know, donating more than what we do. Because being an entrepreneur in a startup company is really, really hard. And, you know, people ask me all the time, are you a nonprofit? I'm like, well, I don't intend, I mean, not officially, but, you know, it's hard to make a profit. But, you know, you just think about the multiplier effect, and we're both pretty good mentors. And we have lots of experience that we can draw on. And so there's that thing about, you know, you could give him the fish, you could teach him to fish. Yep, and Ron's a great fisherman, and he can teach people how to fish, you know. And we're able to teach from different perspectives and different experiences. And entrepreneurs need to have that whole system around them, not just, they're usually great at product development or, you know, the product idea, whether it be a widget or a technology. Where it gets hard is the finance, or how do you bring it to market, or how do you even produce it, you know, efficiently so you can make money at it. So, you know, the things that we have together, Ron's got a much better financial mind than I do. Like, I don't have a financial mind, you know. It proves that it's not a female transferred gene, because both our son and daughter are, you know, good at math. I like spreadsheets with no decimal points. You know, I like them in big buckets. I can understand big buckets, or rounded buckets at least. So
awesome. Well, thank you guys a lot for sharing that. And we're just going to wrap up the segment here. We're going to go into the 4 final questions that we ask each one of our guests. So the first question is, this one might be a little bit hard for you guys, but besides the Bible, okay, so we all know the Bible is, you know, our basically our manual to life. It gives us instructions on how to live. So besides that, what is a good book that you've read that you would recommend, or something that you kind of live by?
I think one of the things that's so great is there's so much information on the internet now. I mean, that's the good news. The bad news is there's so much information on the internet. But for example, I'm in a Bible study now on Revelation. And I'm like, oh my goodness, you know, it's so hard. And I've never studied Revelation in depth before. So I turned to the internet, or actually our Bible study teacher sends us links to things on the internet. So she's vetted them. And like the one we're doing now is there's a whole series on Revelation by Bible Talk, I think .tv. And, you know, it just, you hear it once, you hear it twice, you know, you read it, you listen to it. At some point, hopefully it will sink in and stick. So I don't really have a single source, but I like being able to go to another. I'm a very visual learner. So to sit and read or to sit and listen, that's hard for me. But to, you know, watch a video with, especially if they have graphs with timelines or, you know, stuff like that, that helps me a lot. Do you have one?
Yeah, I've got probably more than one, but the most important one to me that I can think of right now is a book by Patrick Lencioni, and it's how to manage your employees and make them the most effective in the company. And I think that's kind of my job when I'm in a leadership role, is to mentor and care for the employees and make them successful. And Patrick Lencioni thinks there's really 2 issues that you have to focus on. One is that you're personally interested in the employee, their well-being and growth. And if they feel like you're genuine and you stop and talk to them and are very interested in themselves, you know, it makes them more want to do better for you and make the company successful. The other comment is, they said you got to know how you fit in. And it's not just like, I'm the floor sweeper, so I sit here, there's my desk, and I sweep the floors. It's like, how do you sweep those floors? What do you do with the dirt? I mean, they got to know everything. The leaders should know that and work on it with them, because if they know how they fit in, they're going to be a lot more productive employees. And I think that's kind of our my godly position in that.
Awesome. Okay, we'll kind of roll into the second question here. So I know you talked about a little bit, during the main segment of the podcast, but what is your edge, or how do you kind of stay sharp in your marketplace today, or within all of your different businesses, within your portfolio? How do you keep that?
That saying, I'm big on sayings. So
Sure.
It's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yep.
And I add to that, I know a lot of people. So I think that's the best way that I can stay competitive and know what's going on in the marketplace. And plus it's fun. I like going to events and meeting people and learning what their core competencies are, how it kind of integrates with what we're doing, how I can help them, how they can help us. So to me, it's leveraging other people's talents. And if there's anything that I can do that can help them, that's great. I'm generous to a fault in that way. I think that's really my core gift, is to help people. And I give away, consulting, and, I could be getting $150 an hour easy doing this stuff, but I'm just going to give it away. And the other thing is, by doing this, I keep saying this, the next time I print business cards, I'm going to put Chief Dot Connector on the card, because, it's, or Chief Plate Spinner, or maybe both. I can have two titles. Because it's like, if I can introduce you to somebody that can do a good job for you that I can't do, I've helped both of you. And if you're a client of mine or a prospect, you're going to remember that, and then come back to me when you need my services, or stay with the company because you're grateful that I'm doing that to help you out. We give all of our clients an easy button, and you hit the button. Well, that was easy. Well, what I want them to remember from that is that we're their easy button. If you have a question or a problem, don't ruminate on it. Don't spin. Give us a call. If we can't do it, I bet you we know somebody who can. And we can introduce you. And then, if you like them, great, problem solved. If you like them but you can't afford them, well, maybe you can learn from them. So there's still value in that relationship. But we want them to think of us first, that we can help them out. So we're not just a warehouse shipping company. We're a lot more than that.
One of the things we did with Indie Do Good is we asked our employees, what can we do to make your life easier and more rewarding and so forth? And they came up with the idea, we need to get rid of PTO, vacations and tracking of all that stuff. So we don't track any of that anymore. We let them do it themselves. And I think our employees are so happy that they're managing themselves. They don't take the vacation they deserve and the time off and all that, because they feel they need to support the company and us. So we do a lot of things like that are different.
Yeah, we usually have to say, okay, it's been 3 months and you haven't taken a day off. So we do. I mean, the supervisors know what's going on, but because of that really family culture that we have, we have a big bulletin board in the warehouse where we strongly encourage the workers to bring in pictures of their life, whether it be kids or an activity they're doing or an award they won or whatever they want to share. And really it helps to facilitate. I don't feel like we're employee, employer, I feel like we're family, really. And the culture is so important. And what they do for PTO is they check with their coworkers, hey, I have a thing where I really would like to be gone on Friday. Are you going to be here? I just don't want to leave us shorthanded. And they work it out, and then they go to the supervisor and say, okay, I'm going to come. Oh, hi, Evie.
Oh, look who decided to join.
Want to come here? Come on up.
Come up.
But anyway, that's this, a good culture and a kind of community that we try to encourage.
Awesome. Yeah. So we'll kind of go into the third question here. So obviously you're wearing a River Valley Kids shirt. Is there a ministry that you're supporting right now, or something you'd like to shout out for?
Definitely. River Valley's got a great kids ministry, and we love serving in the elementary. It's a big group, a lot of energy. One of the things I really love is that Ron serves with me. I've been in kids ministry and on staff at churches a couple of times, but there's just not enough male influence in especially elementary school lives. And there's a statistic that if you don't accept Christ by the time you're, I think, 12 or 4, I think it's 12, might be 14, but the chances greatly diminish that you're going to accept Christ. And so for the little boys in there that are, soon to be young men that are so full of energy, and Ron goes in there and throws the football around and plays basketball with them and, really engages with them, gets in their face when they're screwing up, and being goofballs. And that kind of relationship is just so amazing to see. So I love that Ron serves with me, and it'd be a lot easier to go be a parking lot guy or an usher guy or something like that. But being with kids, it's hard, but it's so rewarding.
Mm-hmm. One thing to add to that I've learned with teaching Sunday school and being around kids like that is a lot of the kids honestly don't get the coaching they need to get at home. And so we provide that depending on the kid's situation and what they've learned or not learned growing up. So we are part of their growth, and I think help them to be successful. So that's pretty rewarding for me.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you guys for sharing. And then last question before we wrap up. This one might be a little bit hard. What is the best business advice that you've ever received, if you could think of something?
Yeah, it'd be just one that stuck out.
Well, I'm going to twist this a little bit because business advice. Ron and I did a presentation recently at the school where we got our MBAs in Chicago, and we did kind of a tag team because I'd given a presentation like the week before at a church group. It was an interfaith group, Muslim, Baha'i, Christian, whatever, and I did it on the Appalachian Trail because I hiked the Appalachian Trail, 2,194 miles with our daughter from Maine to Georgia to raise research funds for the Michael J. Fox Foundation for Parkinson's disease. Yeah. And so the presentation I give, and getting back to your question, what I really learned on the trail, you need the right tools, right? You got to have good gear. You got to have the right training, which is kind of hard to train for climbing mountains here in Minnesota, but you can go up and down the ditches of the road, 12,000 times, and it helps. And then the third thing, the most important, is a team. You have to have the right team surrounding you, supporting you, guiding you. 25 perfect strangers reached out. They're called trail angels and said, hey, weather's getting bad. You better get off the trail. Come stay at our house. We'll give you a warm bed, a warm meal, a hot shower, do your laundry, bring you back to the trail next day. And then what we did at the college was, I would say the stuff that helped me on the trail, tools, training, team, and Ron would take each one of those elements and apply it to business and life. So, because it really transcends. I mean, you still need the right tools in a job. You still need the right, team around you supporting it. Training is good, so you know what the heck you're doing, you know. And whether it be lifelong learning or on-the-job training or whatever, you still need some kind of training. But most importantly is, and Ron's talked a lot about, and he's so great at managing people and building relationships, so that the tool, the team, the third T is really what is so important. So that's my advice.
I would add a couple things. The first one is employees and managers and leaders of a company need to be like a sponge. They got to keep listening to all the information, no matter if you're 20 years old or 40 or 60. You can always learn more. So I like the employees that act like a sponge. And anytime they're hearing something, they're bringing it in, processing it, and seeing how they can do better with that information. Yeah. I forget what I was going to say now on the other one.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to add on team is the most important member of our team was God.
Absolutely.
There were, I mean, Matthew 25:35 is the one that says, I was hungry and you fed me. I was cold and you gave me shelter.
Yep.
And there was unbelievable number of God things that happened on the trail. Certified, write them up, send them to the Pope, miracles that would not have happened. I got 9 stitches here, 10 staples across the top of my head. And both times, the number of people that God put in her place, or I should say angels, like one regret I had on the trail, I fell and hit my head, ugly cut, ugly. Head wounds are ugly. They bleed a lot. And we hadn't seen anybody all day. It was 1:30 in the afternoon. I tripped on a root, hit my head on a root, sat up, and at my side were two gentlemen that just appeared.
Wow.
And I regret that I didn't ask them to turn around to see their wings. Because and then it gets better. The one guy said to the other, "Hey, reach in my backpack, get those steri strips and that big bandage out from when I hit my head last week. I think I got some extras left in there."
Wow.
And just like things like that happened again and again and again. I mean, 2 serious head injuries, no concussion either time.
You can't plan that stuff. I mean, really, it's so spontaneous from God.
And such a great testimony to his support of our mission, his guidance, his faithfulness, just unbelievable.
I've got one other thing to mention, and that is what I call mentoring. I started mentoring probably a year and a half to 2 years ago, a couple of people that were friends of my son and family, and they recommended me to some of their friends. So I'm mentoring now multiple people, and I think they would tell you what they're learning from me is unbelievable stuff in life, in their job, and everything they do. I won't go into it in detail, but one of the mentors, for example, had an employee that was a problem. And we went through a very methodical process with the employee, and he ended up letting the employee go. But he stays in touch with that employee because he cared for that guy. He just didn't fit the mold. And he's concerned about that guy, and that's important. You know, everybody needs help. So the mentoring is really expanded, and I think it's because God wants me to mentor people.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I guess I'll wrap it up. Unfortunately, we're out of time. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. It was awesome to be able to come and chat with you guys and kick it a little bit. Susan's going to go bounce around in a bouncy house now. So I'm super excited about that. But awesome. If you liked it, give it a like, subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube, and we will catch you guys in the next episode. Peace, guys.
Thanks, guys.